The National Stadium in Tokyo is our venue for a J-League matchup of real magnitude as we count down to kick-off between Kashima Antlers and Kawasaki Frontale at Kokuritsu on National Stadium Day. The current leaders taking on the beaten Champions League finalists as Frontale return to domestic duty 8 days on from defeat to Al Ahly in Jeddah, having reached the continental showpiece for the first time in their history. They are now left playing catch-up in J1 with plenty of ground to make up. Currently 13 points and 14 places behind today's pace-setting opponents, albeit having now played 3 matches fewer. There is the added twist, of course, today of Frontale facing their former coach, Toru Aniki, for the first time since he swapped Kawasaki for Kashima at the end of last year. A grand stage for a fascinating fixture. Historically, Kashima Antlers are Japan's most successful club, but more recently Kawasaki Frontale have a much healthier haul of silverware, to which they came close to adding a first ever Champions League crown just last weekend. Looking to bounce back from the disappointment in Jeddah here at the National Stadium in Tokyo, taking on the in-form league leaders, and for the first time their former coach Toru Aniki, the man who led Frontale to 4 league titles in the space of 5 years and a total of 10 trophies across 8 seasons, in charge of the club that he crosses paths with today, up against his successor Shigetoshi Hasebe and a Kawasaki side who are 5 without a win in J1 despite losing just 2 of 12 in the top flight this term. It is full focus on playing catch-up domestically after coming so close to continental glory. After a record 10 trophies in 8 years at Todoroki, Aniki now charged with bringing more silverware back to Japan's most decorated club. An added twist today. The record 8 times champions are without a league title now since 2016, but they hope that Aniki could be the coach to end that wait. And they are in fine form going into the game today, having won 5 on the bounce. They haven't conceded in any of the last 4. Century of J1 appearances brought up a couple of games ago by Yuta Matsumura, who begins today on the bench for the Antlers. His achievement marked ahead of kickoff here in now familiar fashion. Highlighting the options available to Toru Aniki in attack in particular. The top scoring team in J1 so far this season. And they've certainly found that defensive solidity recently as well. Highlighting the scale of the challenge for Frontale, 8 days on since that defeat in the Champions League elite final in Jeddah. It's some occasion, isn't it, with which to return to domestic duties against their former coach. Wonderful setting in front of the National Stadium crowd at Kokuritsu. One of the 13 domestic fixtures to be played here this season. Well, Toru Aniki has made 3 changes to his Antlers side to face his former club from the team that beat Avispa Fukuoka on Tuesday to make it 5 wins in a row. Kento Misao comes back into the heart of midfield in preference to Kai Shinan. Ryotaro Araki got a breather on the bench in midweek. He's back in today for Tejas Brenner, whilst there's a return to the starting lineup up top for J1's leading scorer this season, Leo Ciara. He claimed his 9th goal of the year as a first-half sub from the spot against Avispa, but is back in from the off this afternoon, making a first start in 6 after injury, replacing Kiyosuke Taguwa, who drops to the bench. Futoshi Nakamura of Saitama is today's referee, his 10th game of this J1 season. He also oversaw the Antlers 1-1 home draw with the Roa Reds in the middle of March, but it's his first Frontale fixture of the season. Koki Nagamine heads up the VAR team, providing the backup in the booth. So this is Kawasaki's return to action, 8 days on from losing the final of the Asian Champions League Elite. They make 3 changes from that 2-0 loss to the Saudi Arabian side Al Ahly in Jeddah, with Soto Miura and captain Yasuto Wakazaka notable absentees. Saya van Vermeskirchen and Yuto Ozeki come in instead, whilst Tatsuya Ito is preferred to the veteran Akihiro J.LEAGUE, who drops to the bench. It's first league game for 3 weeks for Frontale due to those continental commitments. The other alteration from that goalless draw with Tokyo Verdy last time out in J1 is a start up front for Erison. The Brazilian begins the game ahead of Shin Yamada, who is back on the bench for this one. Plenty of reunions today for Toru Aniki, who had such unprecedented success with the side that he is facing for the first time. Back at the club, though, this year, where he started his playing career. The man who replaced him in the opposition dugout, Shigetoshi Hasebe, built on the fine work done by Aniki to take his team further than they had ever gone before in the Champions League, never previously past the quarter-finals. They were beaten last weekend in that continental showpiece, having put out Al Nassr, Cristiano Ronaldo and all in the semi-finals. Back on another big stage today in the sunshine in the capital. 13 regular season games being played at the National Stadium, and this is certainly one of the most fascinating. So off and underway then, so many storylines on the big stage here. Now comes kickoff between Kashima and Kawasaki at Kokuritsu. Frontale in their change colours, all in the white today. The Antlers, the designated home team, off on the front foot, looking to launch the first attack with Suzuki, looking to make a statement of their intent today. Gap at the top close to a solitary point yesterday. There is Suzuki. Barely a glimpse of goal from there. It did take a touch on the way behind. 4 goals so far this season for their top scorer in each of the previous 2 years, Yuma Suzuki. He's just 10 short now of a century for the club. Yamaguchi in goal has become the regular recently. Permanent member of the squad now, having joined on loan from Machida Zelvia halfway through last season. The French-born keeper will clear this one away. 5 clean sheets to his name so far this season. Both of these sides have impressed defensively. But Kashima have certainly found their goal threat as well. Nobody has scored more in J1 this season. Touch for the goalkeeper, Hayakawa. Suzuki always making himself available. Again, starting from that left-hand side, showing his versatility in attack. Challenge comes in on him from behind, from Van Vermeskirchen. No disputing the award of the free kick. Back in the side, Van Vermeskirchen today. Which means a switch of flank for Ashasi Sasaki at fullback. Reverting to the left, here's Chavric for the Antlers. Referee lets that go. This is Marcinho. Erison. And Erison's going to have a hit. Just pulled it wide. It did take a touch. It will be a corner. The Brazilian leading the line today. It's Frontale's first foray forward of note. Or did it take a touch? Looking at that, corner has been given. 7 goals so far this season for Erison, 3 of them in J1. Last 3 games have all been in the Champions League Elite, that mini tournament that was staged from the quarterfinals onwards in Jeddah as part of the new look format this season. They progressed past the first couple of games, but hit the final hurdle last weekend. Plenty forward in white for the corner. Away as far as Kawahara. There's Koki Anzai to get it away. Funabashi keeping his place in the heart of the Antlers midfield. Started 3 of the last 4 now. Who's risen through the ranks at the club. We'll look for Chavric here. Yamaguchi with the clearance. Decent pace to the game early on. There's one back well by Araki. It will be shepherded back for Yamaguchi to deal with. Marcinho dispossessed. Koike, who made his return from injury in midweek. He'd missed the previous 5 games before slotting back into the side on Tuesday in the 1-0 win at Vispa Fukuoka. Leo Ciora came on as a substitute in the first half and scored from the penalty spot, the game's only goal just before the break. Back in the starting lineup today. There he is on the ball, the number 9. 9 goals this season, one more than anybody else in this division. 21 goals he got for Cerezo Osaka last year before making the move. Araki in the thick of things on his return to the starting lineup. He'd begun 4 of the previous 5. So back in the starting lineup today after that breather on the bench in midweek. Marcinho. Ozeki. On the occasion of only his 2nd ever start in J1, the Japanese under-20 international come off the bench in the last 3 games. In for Wakazaka today, whose absence could be a key one. Kawahara goes cross-field, lovely ball. And Vermaskirchen couldn't quite make the most of it, but they'll still have the opportunity to make something of it. Will Frontale here. Played in all 3 games in the Champions League in Jeddah, did Sai van Vermaskirchen. It's only a 4th league start of his season this afternoon. Another opportunity then from the corner kick for Frontale. What going on in the middle, awaiting the delivery here. It's a good one, and it's in. Perfectly placed header from Sasaki. The first to react, the first twist in the tail. And a first league goal of his season. Here's a timely one against his former coach. He could barely believe it, Ashiki Sasaki. But he did really well to guide that across the keeper and in, having reached it first. Just out of the reach of Hayakawa. But frustration for Toru Aniki. His team just didn't pick him up, didn't deal with that threat. Left him in that sort of space on the near post. And Sasaki scores. Frontale lead already, 7 minutes in. The Antlers concede for the first time in 5 games. Bearing that in mind, particularly disappointing the manner in which they did so, really. leaves them up against it early on. There's Kento Misao. Well, of all the players in that position, you wouldn't necessarily have expected Sasaki to be the one to profit, rising to head home the corner. Kashima didn't necessarily expect him to either. So can they respond? Here is Leo Ciara. Decent ball in. Missed by Van Vermeerskirchen. Often on the end of them, but Leo Ciara trying to provide the service this time. And it wasn't a bad delivery. Van Vermeerskirchen didn't get the contact that he wanted, so he has conceded the corner because of that. Having just conceded from one, Kashima will try and produce something of their own here. Try and undo the damage straight away. Temperatures in the mid-20s already. The action heating up given the early goal. There's the corner then. It's a deeper delivery this time. And it was there to be here. Funabashi who did so. They were asking the questions of what it hit. But now here comes the counter. Marcinho for Frontale. And Marcinho with a big chance for two. So close, so nearly. And he would have expected to score. Action at either end here. They were still appealing there with Kashima as the counter was launched. Marcinho with room in which to work. And it's a really good save. He got a touch to it, did Hayakawa, because that otherwise I think was going the other side of his post. Excellent goalkeeping. And an eventful opening 10 minutes, certainly. Third corner kick here. Frontale scored from their last one. It's awkward again because it will be returned towards Takai. And the shot from Kawahara not troubling the target. This really could have been two. And Marcinho did little wrong. He must have thought that he was about to double the lead, provided to them by Sasaki, who scored earlier in the season against Shanghai Shenhua in the Asian Champions League in March. The match in that game set up another one. He scored in J1 for the first time since May of last year against the Urawa Reds. Scored on just his second ever appearance, his first start against Kashima Antlers back in 2022. His goal the difference as Kashima set about trying to undo that damage. First ever senior goal came against today's opponents. He has another one of potentially such significance already in the opening stages here. It was all about so many of the threats of the opposition. Toru Aniki, he was responsible for bringing so many of the Frontale team to Kawasaki. A few better versed in how to deal with those threats, but his side haven't responded yet. Van Vermeerskirchen is allowed to continue. Kawahara. He had continued his run. Ito was the one trying to tease it through to him. It's Araki that brings it clear, though. Suzuki ahead of him. And the ball was just a shade too far ahead of him. A really lively start to the afternoon's entertainment. We've had 5 shots on target already through the first dozen minutes or so. Funabashi. Here's Koike. Back from Chavric. Suzuki. Frontale paying particularly close attention to him. Close down quickly whenever the ball comes his way. This is Alexander Chavric, 6th straight start for the Slovak. Brought in from Slovan Bratislava last season. That'll be a free kick, with Ozeki on the receiving end. Funabashi bundles him over from behind. Plenty of competition for places in that part of the pitch for Kashima Antlers. Kaichinen back on the bench today, having started in midweek. And Yuta Higuchi made his comeback off the bench on Tuesday. After a little spell on the sidelines, he missed 4 matches. He's in reserve again this afternoon as well. Enzo's on the charge. Yamaguchi with the clearance. Very little time on the ball for anybody. Good options here for Frontale. Marcinho was the target. It has been won back well, and it's wide. That's another big chance to double the lead. He was onto it quickly, Yamamoto. And then the shot pulled wide by Ozeki when it came his way. Scored on his only previous start in J1. Yuta Ozeki, he may well feel that he should have had another one. First season playing at this level, regular off the bench recently. Chance to step into the spotlight after Kashima had been caught out and lost it on the edge of their own area. Some uncharacteristic defensive errors from the Antlers so far. Frontale's high pressure, a factor in that certainly, as it was there. Marcinho coming away with it. Yamamoto. Now Ito. Van Vermaskirchen is wider, and he'll get the corner. And Kawasaki in the ascendancy just at the moment. Seeing what they can do from this situation already. They're facing a team that have won 5 on the bounce. Frontale without a win in their last 5 in J1. They've drawn 4 of them. Only lost 1 of their last 8. They're ahead here and in the mood for more. Slightly deeper delivery this time. Sasaki again was stationed on that near post. Ito. It was then swung in by Kawahara, hasn't gone out. Still the Frontale threat, certainly. They look in the mood, don't they? They look a real handful early on. Some neat footwork from Takai up from the back. Big prospect, the 20-year-old central defender. Made his senior Japanese debut last year, won his 2nd cap in March against Saudi Arabia. He has a couple of goals this season. Up from the back, Frontale have another corner. Off the head of Kim this time. He got an important touch to it, the South Korean. Deputising for the injured Sekagawa at centre-back. They're in the ascendancy so far. Frontale looking to play catch-up. 3 games behind. 15th in the table after yesterday's results, saw them slip a spot. And that certainly doesn't tell the story of their season, in which they were so close to going all the way in the Champions League for the first time. And of course, Toru Aniki played a part in getting them that far. He was in charge when they won the Emperor's Cup in 2023 to qualify, and also in charge for the early group stage games at the end of last year that helped them on their way. There's Chavric for Koike for the Antlers, and back again, and just taken away from Chavric before he could get his shot away. Touch was a little heavy that enabled Marcinho to nip in, doing his defensive duties, won it well. Suzuki, Funabashi. This is Anzai, looking for Leo Ciara. Pulled off the bench in the last couple of games, eased back after injury. He'd missed the previous 3. Restored to the starting lineup, Ciara today, having played most of the match in midweek. Suzuki. Araki is playing that more central role this afternoon. Seen him stationed on the left on occasion more recently. It's the position that Suzuki has started in today. Presence of Leo Ciara up top, enabling him to do so. We have seen Suzuki at centre forward as well in recent weeks. No free kick for him here though. He goes down, and Frontale come away with it. Options in attack for them with Marcinho. And they get a 5th corner already of this opening quarter. They, for a moment or two, might have fancied more after Suzuki there was dispossessed, and it opened up for those in white. Kawahara playing the pass to try and release Marcinho. They just got back to him in time, albeit at the expense of this latest corner. Which will be taken by Yuki Yamamoto, the former Gamba Osaka player, assuming set-piece responsibility. Goalkeeper didn't get the contact he was looking for as he came to try and deal with that. Hayakawa has just brought up a century of appearances for the club. He did get a touch to it, and it turned out to be an important one at the expense of another corner. So one big save from him already to prevent Marcinho making it 2-0. Yamamoto's gone across to take this one as well. Midway point of the first half at the National Stadium. It goes again towards Sasaki, who scored once from there already. Does get his head on that as well when it belatedly came back his way. Forced all the way back here to Yamaguchi. Ito. Refer to JLEAGUE today. Marcinho helping it on for Yamamoto to have a crack. Hayakawa's furious at the lack of protection currently being afforded him. In the end, the goalkeeper wasn't required this time as it cleared his crossbar. Frontale's threat remains. Yamamoto looking for his second J1 goal of the season. Now it's the Antlers' turn to attack with Anzai, Suzuki. Araki was the target. There's Koike to clip it back in. Leo Ciara stretching. Acrobatic from Suzuki. Ciara still sensing his chance maybe, which didn't quite come this time. But better from Kashima. Chavric. Too much on that for Leo Ciara. Yeah, they're starting to ask a few more questions now of their own in attack of the Antlers. Hit by Kento, miss out by a margin this time. Who returned from Leuven last year after 7 seasons he had in his first spell at the club. He's going to be at the centre of the story today. That's inevitable, Toru Aniki, given his history with Frontale. His current side struggling to try and get themselves back on terms. To the frustrating nature, really, of the early concession. Miss out. It is given away, not for the first time today. This is Yamamoto to Marcinho. Quite open up for him to get the shot away. Ito down the line, Van Vermeerkerken. Ito again deflects it. Goalkeeper trying to prevent the corner, is just unable to do so. They really do fancy their second goal in the first half, do Frontale. Set up in the end for Tatsuya Ito, who joined in January, having previously played in German football. He came through the ranks at Hamburg. He was in the second tier with Magdeburg last season. And JLEAGUE really have been rotating that role on the right of the attack. He's helped win the corner, which this time is cleared before it could reach Sasaki on the near post. And they survived that particular scare to Kashima. But a number of the scares so far have been, to an extent, self-inflicted, really. They're not quite settled. It goes towards Leo Ciara's, beaten in the air by Maruyama. Ciara will get it back again, though, and get his shot away. And forces the save from Yamaguchi. He's certainly the player that they would have wanted in that position, Leo Ciara. Squeezing the shot inside the post. It required the intervention of Yamaguchi to get down to deny him. 9 goals in 12 appearances in the top flight this term for Leo Ciara. The early leader in the race for the Golden Boot. This is opposite number Erison, Frontale's own Brazilian number 9. Marcinho had so much success under Toru Aniki. Todoroki down the years remains a key performer in this Frontale team. He scored and was sent off against the Antlers last season, was Marcinho, you might remember. Kashima doing the double over Frontale, having previously been very much second best in this fixture. The roles were reversed in 2024. Ciara's the only target here, but he's a very useful target, and he's going to reach it out of the goalkeeper. and he can't quite find the finish. Having got there first, unable to locate the empty goal. Vacated by Yamaguchi, was breathing a big sigh of relief. Helped out by some decent defending to make that more difficult than it might have been. Just put off maybe at the last moment as the challenge came in, but Leo Ciara from there would have expected to stick that away, I think. His reaction will tell you as such. Yamaguchi grateful that he wasn't able to. Sporting the regular home colours of Kawasaki as the goalkeeper. Get involved as an outfield player, but it was to no great avail. It left his team in trouble. It's certainly been eventful in this opening half an hour. Keeping the veteran Jung-Sun Ryong out of the side at the moment is Yamaguchi. Jung's played just a couple of league games so far this season. He's on the bench today. Followed by Kawahara towards the run of Ozeki. Misao with a touch. Chavric into space for Suzuki. He was strong in battling for that, but outnumbered currently. Now has support from Koike, who did well to come away with it. Couple to try and pick out in the penalty area. He was looking for Araki. Not quite for Kashima. Wasn't giving it up though, was the Yuma Suzuki? Up against the goal scorer Sasaki. And then Koike coming round the blind side really to win that well. Nearly made something of it. And commit plenty forward for what is likely to be the long throw here. Rider up from centre-back as well for this. Just over his head. Chavric didn't quite have the space to make anything of it. Frontale will have some room though on the counter, led by Ito. Those in red desperately trying to get back quickly. Tatsuya Ito. Ozeki takes over. They have got back behind the ball now, the Antlers. Erison. Vermaskirchen looking for options. There is Yamamoto, often the one that sets the tempo. Conducts matters from the centre of the pitch, but he's given the ball away there to Chavric. Misao, back to Alexander Chavric. Looking for Leo Ciara. To be a little more precise with the pass. Now Sasaki for Kawasaki. Also the target here, it's just going to skip away from him. Gathered up by Hayakawa. Finely balanced though, isn't it? Kashima won their home game against Frontale at the Kashima Soccer Stadium by 2-1 last season. They were 3-1 winners in Kawasaki. Late last year in November as well in the return. But prior to that, Frontale had won the previous 7 meetings between the clubs in all competitions and have been unbeaten in 15. Record dating back to September of 2018. So there was a real shift last season in the balance of power in this fixture. Frontale had gone 14 league games without defeat against Kashima before losing home and away last year. This is Misao. And again, Funabashi alongside him. Kawasaki content enough to afford Kashima possession in this part of the pitch. Koike. A little awkward for Ueda. Captains the side today with Shibasaki only on the bench. There's Naomichi Ueda. Suzuki. Dropping up more frequently now on this right-hand side, having started on the opposite flank. Looks like he's been given the licence to roam, really, as they look for Chavridge. His appeals waved away by referee Nakamura. Harrison was strong. And out comes the yellow card, straight away from Nakamura for that. Been pulled back there by Kim Tae-hyun. Had hold of the shirt for a lengthy while. He had a decent enough view of it, actually, on the touchline there, Toru Aniki, as Kim was cautioned. Second straight start for the South Korean. As part of the Sagan Tosu side that suffered relegation last season. Deputising for Sekigawa, who was stretchered off last weekend in the home win over Machida Zelvia, who had previously been ever present. Kim was called for as his replacement that day and has slotted into the side in his absence in the couple of games since. But his job a bit more difficult from here on in this afternoon now after that yellow card. Funabashi. Here's Ueda. 88th consecutive J1 game without missing a minute now for Ueda at centre-back. A remarkable record of consistency since he returned to the club. Touch for Erison. Might open up here. That was neatly done by Ito. Marcinio. And just out of play before Ozeki could pull that back. But they look up for this Frontale. They look full of confidence on their return to domestic action. It's a memorable run to the final of the Champions League. And goals from Galeno and Francesi last weekend denied them the trophy in Jeddah. But Ozeki did start and score, actually, in that notable semi-final success over Al Nassr. They've got their spot in the showpiece. They beat Al Sadd of Qatar as well after extra time in the quarter-finals. Being forced back here by Araki for Kashima. But so far that defence holding up well in those sort of situations. And now the counter. Erison with space to turn, and have a go. Plenty of power, but straight at Hayakawa. Only one thought on his mind, and again Hayakawa will be furious at the space, really, that Erison was afforded there. They had players back, but didn't really close him down. Sinio caught right on the touchline. Suzuki just stepped in, nowhere near the ball, was he, by the time he did so? This was the Erison effort. Never really troubling Hayakawa. Might have backed himself to do a little bit better with it, actually, given the position that he found himself. Scored on his debut last year, did Erison, in the Champions League at Shandong Taishan. They went out in the round of 16 under Toru Aniki a year ago, but Hasebe taking them a couple of steps further this year, building on the work that Toru Aniki had done to put them in that position in the first place. Erison scored in that aforementioned quarter-final win this year against Al Sadd. His last J1 goal came in the 2-2 draw at Machida Zelfia a little over a month ago. 6 draws that they've had so far this season. Half of their games have ended all square. Joined most draws in the division so far, which is why they sense the need for a second to build on this slender lead. Yamamoto, some fast footwork from him, and again as he gets it back, then Sasaki. Yuki Yamamoto once more. Sasaki will reach it first. Didn't quite come for Erison in the middle. Once in mounts for Kashima again. We haven't really sorted things out defensively at all today. Well onside, as he made that run to reach it ahead of the goalkeeper, but he couldn't quite cut it back for either Erison or Marcinho in the middle. Both of whom had taken up promising positions there, but they weren't ultimately able to profit from. Instead, they settle for yet another corner, which has been a feature of this first half. Yamamoto again to take it, as he has the rest of them. Final 5 of the first period. Raider rising. Didn't defend the first one at all well, Kashima, and it has cost them. It's the only goal so far that was scored from it, but lessons perhaps learned since then in those sort of situations. Lessons learned the hard way. Bit of a tangle in the box as well. And a big block in there from Kim as the shot came in. Now is Erison getting back to his feet again. Ito. And Vermaskirchen did well to create a little bit of space for the cross. Marcinho for Erison. Blocked by Mita. Comes through in the end harmlessly for Hayakawa, but it might have been a different story. Kenta Misao's presence in there was important a moment ago. Kashima uncomfortable at the back. And Frontale need to take real credit for the part that they've played in creating that sort of environment, really. Kawasaki back at the venue where they lifted the Emperor's Cup under Toru Aniki at the end of 2023. And with 10 trophies over his 8 years with the club, including 3 Super Cup successes, 4 league titles in 5 years, all since the Antlers last won it. Now the most successful side historically, but more recently Kawasaki have usurped them. Well, the last of their title successes now back in 2021. After that little spell of dominance that they had at the summit of the Japanese game. In by Yamamoto. Yeah, Kao opts to punch it clear. A little unconventionally, but ultimately effective enough initially anyway, but could come back at him yet. Marcinho. Well defended, and here's Suzuki. Just clipped by Sasaki. He didn't take kindly to that, Yuma Suzuki. There will be a yellow card, though, for the goal scorer, Asahi Sasaki. Little pull back when it looked as if Suzuki had got away from him. Sasaki becomes the first Kawasaki name taken. Confirmation of his card. Marcinho is the one, by the way, he needs to avoid one today. He's on 3 yellows already. Another would spell a suspension. Ryotaro Araki will take the free kick that will follow. Rider up from the back is always an option in these sort of situations. That's where it goes, and he did get his head to it. Sasaki able to take an extra touch before clearing it. Kawahara didn't really help it away from further trouble, though, as was his intention. Last minute of the first 45 here. Erison got an isolated figure in white, but he was determined to make something of that. And had the ball broken a bit better for him as this challenge came in, then he might have been away otherwise. It's the goal that separates them. Scored by Sasaki. Looks increasingly like it will separate them at half-time. There he is with the throw, back doing the day job. Sasaki again. Ueda goes back to Hayakawa. Funabashi under pressure. Dealt with that pressure with a measure of composure as we go into 2 additional minutes at the end of the first half. With the Antlers on the attack. Araki covered good ground. Suzuki the target for the cross. The goalkeeper hasn't reached it. Suzuki did get something on it. Beautifully done by Funabashi and in. That is 1-1. How he made the most of that. And that changes the mood at the National Stadium heading into half-time. Aniki's team are back on terms. That could be such an important goal at such a key stage of the contest. Yamaguchi won't want to see it again, though. The goalkeeper a little culpable as he came for the cross and didn't get it. Suzuki kept the danger alive, but Funabashi still had plenty to do, didn't he? And that is some way to score his first goal for Kashima Antlers. Appearance number 55 in the club's colours, and on target for the first time. Took that touch to set himself, another touch to take the defender out of the equation to open it up. And then he finds the finish. Despite the presence of Takai right on the goal line, he couldn't reach it. And we're all square again. Two unlikely goal scorers maybe today in this first half. The first goal that Yu Funabashi has ever scored in senior football. So over to Frontale to try and respond. They don't have a lot of time to do so before the break. And they couldn't find a way through. They have come close, of course, on more than one occasion to making it 2-0. The failure to do so looks more costly now. That was always the danger. Suzuki. Chavric ahead of him. There's definitely been a shift to Suzuki's position as the game has gone on. And he played his part in the goal. Could they turn it around in its entirety before the break? This would be some story. Maybe one last chance to do so. Araki coming across to take this. Conceded from a corner early in the first half. Can they come up with something of their own right at the end of it? It's Kim who's gone down here in the middle of all of that. And who has stayed down? Kim Tae-hyun. Moves amicably enough. So a lengthy wait for Araki before he gets the opportunity now to deliver. Still all going on in the middle. Harrison back defending. He's the one who cleared it away initially. Araki will whip it in again. Suzuki, one of a number of targets in the middle. It nearly came his way. It's a good ball in from Araki. And about the penalty spot when he reached it, but too many surrounding him. And he couldn't quite capitalise. Yuma Suzuki with what was the last act of an eventful first half. Kashima Antlers back on terms just before the break. The leaders level again thanks to Yu Funabashi, after Sasaki had headed home the early opener when going unattended from the corner. Kawasaki had their chances to double their advantage. They were made to pay for not doing so. So the Antlers back on terms at the break. Half-time at the National Stadium in Tokyo. It's Kashima Antlers 1, Kawasaki Frontale 1. So the second half to start shortly at the National Stadium. Kokuritsu, 1-1 between Kashima Antlers and Kawasaki Frontale. Toru Aniki's current team coming back from behind against his former club, with that goal right at the end of the first period, and it does appear as if he is making a change for the start of the second half. Yuta Matsumura, who brought up recently a century of J1 appearances, is coming on, and so is Kaishinen. Misao and Araki, the two to make way as part of this double change at the interval. So Shinen will take the place of Kento Misao in the heart of midfield. And Matsumura summoned as well. Player was on loan at Tokyo Verdy last season, but has returned to feature regularly back at his parent club. 6th senior season out of high school. He's played in every league game so far this year and continues that record on at the interval. Suzuki played his part in the goal scored by Funabashi that levelled it. Sasaki having opened the scoring 7 minutes in with a header from the corner for Frontale, who did have their chances to extend that advantage before it was pegged back. So Kawasaki Frontale to get the second half underway. All in the white in their changed colours, looking to try and re-establish their advantage. Lost late in the first half against the current league leaders. Kashima Antlers back on terms as they try and extend their advantage at the summit of J1, which was pegged back to a solitary point by Kashiwa Reisor's victory yesterday. Reysor with just the one defeat all season so far, the only team actually to have lost fewer games than Kawasaki Frontale, and just 2 defeats in 12 coming into this. Half of their games have been drawn, and this one is all square once again. Despite an impressive first half performance for the most part from Hasabe's team, and they have a promising free kick here for which they can and have committed plenty forward. All in a line on the edge of the area. And waiting the ball in from Yamamoto, in the presence of those that had been brought up from the back, rendered somewhat academic really by the delivery. Yamaguchi still, as a result of that, with plenty to aim for. He opts instead to play it short though. Now into the feet of Erison, taken away from him briefly by Funabashi. Erison still scrapping for it, then goes down, wins the free kick. Funabashi and Kaishinen, the two that were quickly on the scene to try and stop him. Fairly so, said referee Nakamura. Should have brought on at the break, did start in midweek on Tuesday at Avispa Fukuoka. He is formerly of Frontale, like his coach Toru Aniki. He is facing a former club, played 144 games in the colours of today's opponents. So another free kick then for Frontale, a couple of these already in the first 2 minutes of the second half. And it wasn't immediately threatening. From Vermaskirchen. We'll get it back again here. Kawahara. Marcinho is the target. It comes his way. He was trying to improvise a little bit to bring it under his spell, and he couldn't quite find the finish. A little unfortunate, maybe. Been peeled away from Wader, got in between the two centre-backs, reached it ahead of Kim as well, but couldn't quite bend it goalwards. The presence of Kim Tae-hyun proved problematic, even if the defender wasn't able to get to the ball. There's Wader. Really good tempo to the game there has been throughout, in front of this big crowd at the National Stadium, which holds just short of 68,000. Built on the site of the old one. Stage for so many of these showpiece occasions now in Japanese football. And for 13 regular season games this year, the designated National Stadium Days, of which this has been a much anticipated one. And it's lived up to the billing so far. The referee stepped in and given it. And with Anzai down, up against Ito. Venue for the cup finals. It's an occasional venue as well for the Japanese national team. The national coach is here, by the way, Hajime Moriyasu today amongst those watching on. It's going to host the World Athletics Championships this year as well. Those that are here continue to make plenty of noise. Funabashi, the goal scorer, will take the free kick. Delivers deep, Ueda rising. Gathered up by Yamaguchi. So Aniki making those couple of changes at half-time. A reminder of the lineup going across the bottom of your screen. Introductions of Chinen and Matsumura for this second half. Here come Frontale in full flow. Brilliant effort. That did not miss by much. Well, he covered really good ground in the first place before getting the shot away. Well, let's see how close it was. Certainly had the goalkeeper worried. Sasaki, who opened the scoring, setting about, trying to re-establish their lead in altogether different circumstances. Got his first league goal of the campaign early in the game. He was close to another one. No surprise maybe that Hasebe opted to send out the same 11 again for the second half. The more satisfied overall with how that first half went, despite the frustration for his team at the end of it. Their lead was lost. Harrison was fall favourably into his path. It was a well-weighted ball. Harrison trying to make something of it here, flashes it in. Sasaki held up by Chavric. And that was important as it turned out. Then Koike steps in, he finds Suzuki. Got a bit of space here, Yuma Suzuki for Kashima. Now he has support as well. Anzai in field, and back again. Not quite the room in which to work this time. Funabashi. Matsumura. Back to you, Funabashi. Yuta Matsumura. These two continue to combine. Prolonged period of possession for those in red. MEIJI Ueda was looking for Leo Ciara, turned behind by Takai. Couldn't take any chances with that. Ueda's ball intended for his number 9. Leo Ciara did have that chance in the first half when he reached it ahead of Yamaguchi. Couldn't locate the open goal. But otherwise hasn't had an awful lot of service so far. I hope that might change here. Ueda making his presence felt in the penalty area. Funabashi's going to take it in towards Ueda. Only partially cleared there, it came back from Koike. But it's going to fall here for Marcinho with plenty of room to run into. He's a player capable of exploiting situations like that. He just wasn't quite able to do so this time. Certainly the one that they would have wanted leading the charge. 5th season at the club now for the Brazilian. brought to Kawasaki by Toru Aniki after a spell in the Chinese Super League. Had a big part in many of those trophy successes under Aniki. Vermeerskirchen always the favourite to get to that first. Just ahead of Matsumura, as he needed to do. Still harbour genuine hopes, don't they, of making it 6 straight wins. It's been some response to a disappointing spell that preceded it. They lost 3 league games in a row. They went out of the J-League Cup on penalties as well in that period. But they bounced back brilliantly. They have the corner here, Kashima. It's a deeper delivery towards Suzuki, who will return it. It's not away yet, but there will be a free kick in there for Frontale. That will be their chance to clear their lines. Kawahara. Starting a 7th consecutive J-League game. He also started the Champions League final last weekend. In Yamamoto, forging a regular partnership in the heart of midfield. This comes for Suzuki. Kokianza, who's on the move rapidly in towards Leo Ciara. Not quite. Not the cleanest of contacts when it came the way of the Brazilian in the box. Just a fraction behind him, which made it more difficult. But if that service continues to come, then you expect he will have his say today. That's how it all started, with Yuto Ozeki going down, just caught off balance a little bit, overstretched himself. Afforded a start by Hasebe today after the impact that he had in that Champions League semi-final. The last game that he started against Al Nassr. And that was a remarkable victory, really. 3-2 against the Saudi Arabian side of superstars. The likes of Sadio Mane and Cristiano Ronaldo were on the beaten team that day. They are missing Wakazaka this afternoon, though, Frontale, their captain. Sidelined for this one. And Vermeerskirchen. Never previously gone further than the quarter-finals of that continental competition. Before ending as runners-up this year, Frontale, who are going to make a change here. Their first of the game. Yamauchi is on in place of Ozeki. Came on for the last 6 minutes of the Champions League final. He's only featured twice in J1 so far this season, which is his second year out of university. But he's on before the hour in place of Ozeki. He was maybe feeling that injury a little bit, potentially. But would have been a candidate to come off, you would imagine anyway at this stage, given his previous lack of starts. It's the position really in which they are missing Wakazaka is so important in this side, and has been over the course of the last 8 seasons, really. A 3-time title winner with them. He'd started the previous 3 before missing this one. In there for Chavric, but it wasn't the ball that he was intending. Erison takes over, taking the pass from Marcinho. Returned by Erison dangerously towards Yamauchi. He's looking for an instant impact. Had half a chance here. Might have been able to take an extra touch in there, opted against it. Good spell this though, from those in white. Chavric being pinned back again. The pass wasn't as precise as it had to be. Takai cuts it out. Suzuki scrapping for that against Kawahara, and getting the decision from referee Nakamura. A bit going on from both of them, but the initial foul is by the Frontale player as it threatens to open up at the other end. Inside advanced territory, couldn't make it count. So finely balanced though, isn't it? An hour in Tokyo, the capital city which effectively really separates the cities of Kawasaki and Kashima. Either side of the capital. Bit of concern here for Toru Aniki with Leo Ciara down. Plotting a change anyway. Kosuke Tagawa had started the previous four before being replaced in the starting lineup by Leo Ciara today. And it looks like this might be a role reversal. Kashima will desperately hope that it isn't another injury to Leo Ciara. He's only just back from a previous spell on the sidelines after such a goal-laden start to his season. There's the earlier effort from Ansai. He'd covered a lot of ground, hadn't he, before getting that shot away, which lacked a little bit of conviction at the end of it. But this is a really concerning sight for Kashima, with Leo Ciara being helped onto the stretcher, looking distraught. And they will hope that this is not to prove another spell on the sidelines for him. Doesn't look great at the moment. Certainly his part today is played. Tagawa called for, who deputised recently in his absence, and will do so again for what remains this afternoon. Boy who returned to Japanese football last summer from Hearts in Scotland. Mix of Sagan Tosu and FC Tokyo, capped a couple of times by his country. He'd had to be patient to force his way into the starting lineup. And at least Leo Ciara can walk away, having been helped from the field on the stretcher. We'll hope for good news in the treatment room once they can get him there. There's Suzuki, slipping it through for Tagawa, straight into the action. Back for Suzuki again. Kaishinen's going to reach this. Yuma Suzuki. Funabashi. Chavric, Funabashi. They're moving it quickly, Kashima here. Frontale keeping their defensive shape as well, back behind the ball. Suzuki. Sheenan. And here's Chavric, and it deflected just behind Tagawa. Down goes Erison, who just got to it first. He will settle for that, I'm sure, in the circumstances. A couple of goals this season for Alexander Chavric already. He was in a promising position here, but very quickly closed down. It was Takai that got out to him. Assuming an important role in this side, though, in his second season at the club. He was on loan last year from Slovan Bratislava. They took up the option to make it permanent. Born in Croatia, played for Serbia at under-21 level before pursuing Slovak citizenship. particular recently for Kashima Antlers. And the ice pack applied already. Leo Ciara can only watch what remains. Big signing for this season, big statement of intent really. After all the goals that he got with Cerezo Osaka last year, and he certainly started strongly in Kashima, hit his stride straight away in the opening weeks of the season before injuries have since intervened a little bit. Kim to Anzai. Here's another in a second spell with Kashima. 5th season of it, after playing for Portimonense in between. 5 times capped by Japan. Suzuki forward. That's a lovely way to pass. Brilliant goal. Tagawa with an emphatic finish. Not been on long, but he's turned this around. And the team top of the table lead again today at the National Stadium. Keisuke Tagawa on for the injured Leo Ciara, and on target in short order. Really well-crafted goal and decisively dispatched. Suzuki's ball. Tagawa with a well-timed run to race clear. Always reaching it ahead of the goalkeeper as Yamaguchi beats the floor in frustration as it's thumped beyond him into that far corner. Well, that's real quality. And that's 2-1 Kashima. Back on track for a 6th straight win to extend their advantage at the summit. He only scored his first goal for the club last weekend with what proved to be the winner against Machida Zelfia. It's 2 in 3 now for Keisuke Tagawa. And Toru Aniki's team have turned this around against the club with whom he had so much success. The team that caused his current side so many problems in that first half, but the Antlers have come up with the answers so far. With the shade over a quarter of the game still to go, it's Kashima who have the all-important advantage now. And it's to Frontale that the onus falls again to try and find now their response in a role reversal. Wouldn't be entirely surprised, though, if that wasn't the end of the scoring yet in a game such as this. Chamberlain's trying to keep it in, it's ultimately in vain. Kawahara. Marcinio dances his way through, just couldn't quite apply the finish. It was an important touch in there just to take it off his toes, really. Kawa therefore not tested at the end of that. That's all that was missing, though, from Marcinio. There's another twist or two in this yet, you feel. Koki Anzai finds himself outnumbered, taken off him by Kawahara. Marcinio. Yamauchi. Harrison forced wider than he wanted, and he's not going to reach that. Taken off by Hasabe at half-time in the Champions League final was Harrison. The former Botafogo player in his 2nd season. He's put a shift in for his side at the National Stadium today. Wouldn't be a huge surprise if he didn't finish the game. Here is Suzuki. Space for Chavric if he can reach it, and he can't. Not quite. Valiant attempt to do so, it's just a little overhit. Suzuki the first to acknowledge that. In contrast to that ball that he played for Tagawa. And the goal that they scored to edge ahead. Well, it didn't happen quickly, but it's been a really good response, hasn't it, from Kashima to going behind early on today. Now they have something to try and protect. No free kick for Erison. Koike. Erison went with him. Just left his leg in there. And tried to get the ball back. The earlier one on Erison from Kashima. Well, first time that he's faced Frontale. And he'll be feeling an awful lot happier than he was for most of that first half for Toro Aniki about how it's going. But still very much in the balance. Number 3 for Suzuki this time. Had 17 games in charge before today of Kashima Antlers, Toro Aniki this season, winning 11 of them. He had 410 matches in total as a manager. Now 393 of those were with Kawasaki Frontale, with whom he had a win rate of 55%. Transformative effect he had on the football club, taking them to, by a significant margin, the greatest era in their history. Here's Marcinho as Frontale look to try and level it today. He's able to pick the pass, but it whistles well wide. Marcinho did well here, but he always just struck across the ball, really. Kawahara not troubling the target because of that. Not long before we see changes in the plural. Shin Yamada's going to come on, that's no surprise in the circumstances. They'll go up top. It's like Somakanda is being readied by Hasabe as well. Stage of the game now where he feels he needs to do something a little bit differently, but his team's still a real threat. Here's Erison, able to bring it down. Shot blocked as it left his boot by Kim. Yamauchi. Funabashi. They have a player down in their own penalty area, which is why they're going to put this out of play. But, pretty innocuous one. Sheenan back on his feet after the collision. He joined Frontale straight from university. Had 6 seasons with today's opponents. It's the 3rd year now with the Antlers since he made the move. Wader. Flick was by Chavric, not quite for Tagawa. Maruyuma. MEIJI. Wider was Sasaki. Challenge laid down to Frontale to try and find a route back into the game. Sasaki. For MEIJI, good ball. He created a little bit of space for himself initially with that first touch, then goes down and asked the question of the referee. He didn't get the answer he was hoping for. Hinata MEIJI there. Koki Nagamine, the video assistant referee, might just be having a longer look at this. I don't think there was quite enough in that, though, was there? For which Koike will be grateful. Found himself in a sticky spot, and the arm did come across, but not enough to merit really the way that he went down. So now the changes. Yamada is on. Kanda as well. There will be 3 changes in total. Marcinho is the first to make way here. That big chance, didn't he, to make it 2 in the first half, denied by the excellent save from Hayakawa. Yenega, by the way, is the other player waiting to come on. Ito's gone off, so Yenega will be his replacement. Kanda for Marcinho, and Erison, as I suspected he might, he looked to be feeling the pace a little bit, will be replaced by Shin Yamada up top. So for the most part, they are like-for-like changes, just freshening things up for the conclusion. And a change as well from Kashima. Higuchi is going to come on in place of Chavric. Second game back after injury for Yuta Higuchi off the bench. And been a key player in the early weeks of the season. He is on for the closing quarter of an hour here as well. So a flurry of activity off the benches. Well, he cuts that one out. Suzuki gets a touch to it. Hayakawa had to be careful. Just about gets away with that. Yenega, 38 years young now. His 9th season at the club. He was a goal scorer in that Champions League semi-final. You know Toro Aniki better than Akihiro Yenega. Aniki plotting another change. Kazuki Sakui, another defender, I think, is going to come on. That might be through necessity. We'll check on Funabashi first. Pulled up with that injury. Player who scored his first goal in senior football in the first half, right at the end of the first half to level it up. He's also going to be carried away from the action here. Reminder of the goal that he scored in fabulous fashion. That made it 1-1 just before the break. And then this from Tagawa to turn it around. Give the Antlers the advantage that they still hold. Forced into this change. Sakui is on for Funabashi. He started 5 of the previous 6 at right back, actually. Kazuki Sakui, centre back by trade. 3rd senior season out of high school. He's on to try and help them hold what they have, maybe. Space here for Yenega. And Verma-Skirken was outside him. Back for Yenega. By Yamamoto, Yamauchi brings it down and it's touched over the top by Hayakawa. Good stop. Good effort as well from Hinata Yamauchi. Just able to take that touch to set himself, and it was heading underneath the crossbar just, I think. Needed the intervention of the goalkeeper at the expense of the corner. By Suzuki, but there has been a response, having fallen behind by Frontale. They still fancy their chances of getting something out of the game. And it goes again. And Vermaskirchen in space here to potentially deliver the cross. Gives it back again. Takai. Good spell from those in white. Whipped in by Sasaki. Well, technically the visiting team today, Frontale, to the National Stadium. The Antlers so strong at their home ground, the Kashima Soccer Stadium. And they've had a remarkable record over the course of the last couple of campaigns. They have a player down here, Kim, but play continues around him. Does look in real trouble though, which is why now the referee has stepped in. Yeah, I think we're unhappy that he didn't do so earlier. Recently forced his way into the side because of that injury to Sekagawa. Let's have another look at it off the ball. Didn't appear too much in it from there. It was a very animated reaction from the South Korean centre-back, and it prompted something similar on the sidelines as well. Conversations continue here whilst he receives some treatment. This will all be added on, of course, at the end, and it's only going to add to the late drama in Tokyo. Familiar sight for so many years on the Frontale bench. Toru Aniki with a tactics board. Trying to plot their downfall today, and close to doing so. Let's have a closer look at this. It was Yamauchi, the player involved there, with Kim Tae-hyun. Just stood on his foot. Appeared no ill intent. But a painful one for Kim, clearly. He's brought an extra defender on already. He won't want to have to make another change. Doesn't appear that he's going to have to. Has now made 5 changes, hasn't he? Cheatham been one of them at half-time. Back on his feet swiftly after that. And a free kick to follow for Frontale. Hoping that their fine home form can continue at the National Stadium. Only lost 2 of the last 40 home games in J1. So strong are they, as I mentioned, at the Kashima Soccer Stadium. They went unbeaten through the whole of last season before the surprise recent defeat against Kyoto Sanga by the odd goal in 7. Comes back brilliantly from that though, but work to do for them defensively here. As the free kick comes in into an awkward area, it was Wader that rose to reach it. Not away yet. Sasaki was in there, so too was Takai. Here is Sasaki to try and keep the danger alive. Yuki Yamamoto. Kim rising highest. Comes back towards him though. With Yenica. Now Yamamoto, those two combine. Yenica takes it off for Yuki Yamamoto. Leaves it for Maruyama. Joining in up from the back as well. Putting it wider for Asahi Sasaki. Kashima being pinned back. They're tempted to try and hold on to what they have to keep everybody back behind the ball to make it more difficult for Frontale to force their way through, force their way back on terms in the game. And time's starting to tick away for them. Kawahara. Van Vermaskirchen. Second season now since he made the move from the Eredivisie with NAC. Yamada touching it wider. Comes back towards Yamamoto, but Koike was there. And now the counter maybe. Oh, he's done brilliantly here. All the way through maybe. Couldn't quite get the shot away at the end of it, having done everything else. What a run. Done everything right up until then. Yenica had continued his run, gets it back again, got his shot away as well. It's blocked behind and out for the corner. Openings at either end. This is fabulous fair. So nearly here for Akihiro Yenica. Door was closed just in time by Kim Tae-hyun. This was the one at the other end for Matsumura. The one that had started deep inside his own half. Tasha Banner is on for Van Vermaskirchen in the latest change. Just ahead of this Kawasaki corner. And it goes, the goalkeeper having gone down, the whistle having gone before the ball ends up in the back of the net. So the celebrations never get started. But it does underline the fragility of the lead. There was a lot going on here, not just involving the goalkeeper. Takai it was who rose to head it. Kanda was the player in front of Hayakawa. It was ultimately penalised there. He and Yamauchi either side of the keeper. The goalkeeper always likely to get the decision in those sort of circumstances. Towards Kanda, the 19-year-old. Never started a J1 game. But his only start came incredibly in that Asian Champions League semi-final. Third appearance off the bench in J1 this season, his second season since he joined them straight from school. Charged with a big part to play in trying to help his team get this equalising goal. Cheatham barking out the instructions. Just short of 60,000 in attendance at Kokuritsu today. The big stage, the wonderful atmosphere created upon it has certainly played its part in the spectacle that we've seen. One of the 13 designated national stadium days over the course of the league Both sides really have risen to the sense of occasion this afternoon. And it remains right in the balance. As we go into the last of the 90 minutes, there'll be a bit to add on beyond that as well, of course. And we're certainly no strangers to late drama in J1 this season. Still ahead. They've seen less of the ball in the second half, but they've capitalised when the opening came their way, and since then they have been content to surrender maybe a bit more of the possession to ensure they maintain their defensive shape, which so far has stood firm since that lapse of concentration that cost them early in the game when conceding from the corner. J.LEAGUE is on the move here if he can reach it, and he does. He wrapped his boot around it. Yamada hits the bar. Big chance for Shin Yamada. Still the danger. Yamamoto to Sasaki. As we go into 10 additional minutes, this is far from finished. And indeed, Frontale was so close to getting themselves back level. Yamada's effort, the goalkeeper didn't really react. Maybe he thought it was clearing his crossbar. It cracked against it instead. Fine margins and all that right at the end, although not yet quite at the end because of those 10 minutes added on. There is still time for another twist or two yet, that is for sure. And Kawasaki Frontale are in the mood to rescue something. Kashima, as it stands, going back 4 points clear at the top, albeit having played a game more than Kashima Reysol. They were winners yesterday. The Antlers close to following suit today. Touched by Kawahara, who gets it back again. It's too much on that for Tashibanada, who'd missed the previous 4 games in J1. We did see him in that Asian Champions League semi-final. We see again how close Shin Yamada was here. Last year's top scorer, 21 goals he got in all competitions in the previous campaign. 4 so far in this one, 2 of those in this division. Referee lets that one go. There's Koike to get back to his feet again, which he did pretty quickly. J.LEAGUE. Yamada crowded out of it, but wins the throw. Taken by Tashibanada. Takai. Moriyama. One-way traffic now towards that Antlers goal. And it comes through to Hayakawa. Not extended in the end, he'll be grateful about that. Yamauchi's ball in. They may feel, actually, those in red, that they could have done a bit more about that in the air. And we're grateful that Hayakawa was able to make the save as comfortably as he did in the end. Tashibanada's challenge. There's a reaction from the home fans, from Toru Aniki as well. If anything, though, it was the landing maybe that was particularly painful there for Matsumura. Came down pretty heavily. And jarred the ankle somewhat, feeling the effects of that as he gets back to his feet. He's had an impact, though, hasn't he, in this second half? does stay like this, it will be a third straight win in this fixture for Kashima against Kawasaki, having lost the previous 7. But it's still a relatively big if. With j.LEAGUE on the move, he needed to do more than that, though. Harmlessly through to Hayakawa this time. This will be 6 games without a win in J1 for Frontale. They only lost one of their first 10 this season. Too many draws in there, really, but they'd probably settle for a share of the spoils today at this stage. Still got over 5 minutes to try and rescue something. Takai. j.LEAGUE. Kawahara. j.LEAGUE comes clear with it. Suzuki stayed down, he's feeling the pace a little bit, I think. j.LEAGUE prompting and probing. On the ball at every opportunity since he came on. And it went towards Kanda, didn't quite reach him, but it keeps on coming back again. Maruyama to Yamamoto. Wonder is Sasaki, Yuki Yamamoto. Kashima just can't get hold of it. They're keeping their discipline at the back, they're keeping their concentration defensively, but there's not a lot by way of respite right now. Again, Suzuki down, comes back his way, so he's forced to try and get back to his feet again, cramping up once more, it would appear. And he's not the only one who's down now. Koki Anzai is also caught in that particular passage of play. Put a shift in, hasn't he? And some Suzuki. Hayakawa will clear it away. Grateful for the chance to do so. And straight out of play it goes. Miki will hope that his team can hold it in this part of the pitch for a little longer than they've been able to recently. Roda rising well. Yamamoto was there, but it was a fraction in front of Yamauchi. Koike. Through for Sakui. Free kick taken quickly by Kawasaki. As it has to be now. Takai. Tasha Banada ahead of him. It was taken away from him well by Matsumura. Maruyama. Here's Yamauchi. Sasaki. Open the scoring, can he have a final say? Deep into stoppage time. Goalkeeper will make that his. And then lost it, but the whistle goes in his favour. Against Kanda. And he might not be in any great hurry here, Hayakawa. Frontale have certainly played their part in the spectacle and may feel a little unfortunate if they do end up empty-handed. But Kashima have been clinical when the chances came their way. Funabashi at the end of the first half, Tagawa in the second period. 20 minutes into the second half, the goal that turned it around in favour of Toru Aniki and his current employers against his previous ones. A minute away from being the winner. They are close. Anzai with the throw. And the priority is just to try and keep hold of the ball. Keep the action at this end, which they've done successfully here. They've had to survive a few scares. None more so than when Yamada hit the bar. But they are almost over the line now. Thanks to Tagua's goal. And that's a crucial contribution as well from him right at the end here. Brought on after that injury to Leo Ciara. It's good to see him on the sidelines, watching on with the rest of his teammates as well, which suggests that injury might not be too significant. There were genuine concerns with the manner in which he went off and when he went off. But Tagua, his replacement, was very shortly on the scoreboard. And that is seemingly going to be the significant strike today. Playing a further part in winning the corner, ticking the clock down. We play on now only at the referee's discretion. Tagua again getting his head on that. But there won't be time for any further action. That is full time. And Kashima Antlers' recent winning run goes on. 6 on the bounce now for Toru Aniki's team to extend their advantage at the top. Coming from behind to beat his former club, whom he was facing today for the first time. And they've got the better of Kawasaki Frontale. Further disappointment for Frontale 8 days on from losing that Champions League final. They had got themselves in front today through Sasaki. But it was a lead lost just before half-time and overturned by Tagua, who's come up with the defining moment of the match in this second half. So further frustration for Hasabi, who on his team's return to domestic duties after a 3-week break are beaten at the National Stadium and are now 6 without a win in J1, struggling in the bottom half of the table. Taking on his predecessor today, his team took them on, but have fallen just short in the end. Full time in Tokyo. Kashima Antlers 2, Kawasaki Frontale 1. Excellent game, wasn't it? It flew by. Both teams deserving credit for the part that they played in the spectacle on the big stage. Both rising to the sense of occasion created at Kokuritsu. But Kashima showing their quality with the clinical nature in which they scored their goals at decisive stages of the game. Battling back from the frustration of the early concession from the corner to rediscover their composure, to grow into the game. And Tagua, only just on, having replaced the injured Leo Ciara, the division's top scorer, got a goal of his own for the second weekend in succession to ultimately prove the match winner made by Suzuki. Wonderful goal it was as well for Kashima, underlining that quality I was talking about, and the confidence coursing through the camp at the moment, bouncing back from 3 straight defeats with 6 wins in a row, and back 4 points clear at the summit of J1 as they try and chase down their first title since 2016. Frontale have been 4 times champions since then, under Toru Aniki, but they've been on the receiving end against their former coach today, having given so much, come so close to doubling their lead in the first half. It looks so costly now, doesn't it, that they weren't able to do so. Big save from Hayakawa to keep out Marcinho. Looks a major moment in the context of what followed. And Kashima laying down a challenge to the rest. They do look the team to beat in a season where so many have struggled for consistency. Awful long way still to go, but the standards are being set ahead of the summer months, and they have options now in this squad. They have strength in depth in this squad, underlined by Tagawa's goal off the bench. Further disappointment a week on from that loss in Jeddah for Frontale back at the National Stadium. They reflect on what might have been, having put in a positive performance and come so close to an equalising goal after going behind as well. It's a match that had a little bit of everything, except for that late equaliser. Yamada off the bar, the closest that they came. Frontale ultimately falling, and now find themselves 16 points adrift of Kashima in the standings after this. Only a third league defeat of their season, but it could be a costly one as they play catch up on the rest, including a return to action in midweek on Wednesday. Swift turnaround for them with a home game against Yokohama. Let's get some reaction.
Kashima Antlers 田川恭介選手のお話を伺います。まさに激闘を制しました。まずこの勝利、どのように受け止めていらっしゃいますか？
今までずっと連戦の中で、ここに6連勝という形で締めくくれたのは本当にチームとしても、優勝を目指す上で、絶対条件だったと思うので、それが本当実現できたのは本当に嬉しいです。
田川選手の逆転ゴール振り返っていただきたいんですが、カウンターうまく抜け出したところ、鈴木選手からピンポイントのパスが来ました。
前半から結構裏のスペース空いていて、ハーフタイムの時に